There's a certain kind of story that crawls under your skin, not because it's full of monsters or ghosts, but because it's full of people, real people, people in power, and the suspicion that maybe, just maybe, they're not telling you the whole truth. Through history, conspiracy theories have been dismissed as fringe fantasies until they weren't. Some have been proven true years later. Others remain locked in a twilight space, too strange to fully accept, too persistent to fully ignore. Today, we're walking into that twilight. 5 disturbing conspiracies you'll hope are not true. But first, a warning. The closer we get to the details, the harder it will be to look away. Number 1. The Epstein prison footage mystery. On August 10th, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his New York prison cell. The official cause? Suicide. The official reaction? Shock. Epstein wasn't just another inmate. He was at the center of a sprawling investigation into sex trafficking of minors, with alleged connections to celebrities, politicians, and royalty. Many believed that if Epstein talked, names would fall. Names too powerful to imagine on an arrest sheet. So when he died, people asked the obvious question: was this really a suicide? Fast forward to July 2025. The U.S. Department of Justice finally releases almost 11 hours of surveillance footage from the night before Epstein's death. They call it complete raw footage. They say it should end the speculation. It doesn't. Video forensics experts start digging through the metadata, the hidden technical fingerprints in every digital file. And what they find is troubling. This isn't a direct copy from the prison's security system. It's been processed, professionally edited using advanced software. Instead of a continuous recording, the footage appears to be stitched together from at least 2 separate MP4 files. The aspect ratio, the shape of the video, shifts suddenly mid-clip. And the timestamp? At 11:58 p.m., it jumps straight to midnight. 1 minute gone. The official explanation? The prison's outdated system resets each night at midnight, always skipping that minute. Convenient. But the changes raise questions. Why edit surveillance footage from one of the most high-profile inmates in the world? Why not release the unaltered files? Critics see the editing as a cover-up, maybe to hide something the cameras caught, or to hide what they didn't. There's more. During his campaign, Donald Trump promised to release the so-called Epstein client list, a supposedly detailed record of high-profile figures involved in Epstein's network. By 2025, that promise is walked back. Officials now claim no such list exists. The footage was supposed to bring clarity. Instead, it left a sour taste because once you see that the evidence has been altered, you can't help but wonder, what's missing? Number 2. The CIA and the missed 9/11 warnings. September 11th, 2001. 19 hijackers carry out the deadliest terrorist attack on U.S. soil. And in the aftermath, one question echoes. How did they get away with it? The official story says the attackers exploited America's open society and the gaps between intelligence agencies. But the deeper you look, the more you find a trail of red flags, each one ignored or mishandled. Take Mohammed Atta, the man considered the ringleader. In 2001, he enters the U.S. 3 separate times on a tourist visa, even though officials already knew he had overstayed it in 2000 and had taken flying lessons in violation of its terms. Nobody stops him, or Khalid al-Mihdar, captured on video at a meeting planning the UESS Cole bombing in 2000. The CIA doesn't put him on any watch list until August of 2001, long after he's inside the country preparing for the attack. Then there's Zacharias Moussaoui. In August 2001, a Minnesota flight school alerts the FBI. This guy wants to learn how to fly a fully fueled jet, but shows no interest in takeoffs or landings. He's arrested. French intelligence links him to extremist groups, but the FBI never digs into his connections deeply enough. Later, Moussaoui becomes the only person ever convicted in connection to 9/11. Missed warnings happened abroad too. In Hamburg, German intelligence surveils a roommate of Atta from 1998 to 1999. They don't realize they've stumbled onto Al-Qaeda's Hamburg cell. The investigation is dropped. Even the FAA looks the other way. When one future hijacker's English is too poor for him to safely fly, they recommend an English tutor instead of investigating. Another pair of trainees abandons their plane in active traffic at Miami Airport. The FAA reprimands the owner, but doesn't ask why. The most haunting detail? In January 2001, one of the hijackers is detained in Dubai at the CIA's request. They suspect terrorism. They question him and let him go. 8 months later, he's back in the U.S. 2 days before the attacks, Maryland police pull him over for speeding. He's released. On September 11th, he's at the controls of Flight 93, the plane passengers forced down in Pennsylvania before it could hit its target. Afterward, the CIA denies knowing about his questioning in Dubai until after the fact. Whether that's true or not, the pattern is clear. Warnings were missed, dots went unconnected, and opportunities to stop the plot slipped through the cracks. 19 men outmaneuvered some of the most sophisticated intelligence agencies in the world, and the cost was nearly 3,000 lives. Number 3. The Graveyard Conspiracy. Bowling Green, Kentucky. A man who calls himself Big Ship Poppin' works an unusual side hustle, digging graves across several counties. It's quiet, repetitive work. Until one afternoon when the cemetery director walks over and says, "We need to lift that casket. The casket's not where it should be, crooked in the ground." So the two of them hoist it together. But as soon as they lift, something's wrong. It's light. Unnaturally light. The gravedigger frowns. Why is it so light? The director looks him in the eye and says, "Don't ask questions you're not ready for." And just like that, the conversation ends. The clip he posts about it goes viral. Comment sections erupt with theories, some outlandish, some disturbingly plausible, because we trust that when a loved one is laid to rest, their body is actually there. But what if sometimes it isn't? Could bodies be removed before burial? Stolen for illegal medical research? Taken before cremation so coffins can be reused? History doesn't make the question easier. In the 18th and 19th centuries, resurrectionists dug up fresh graves to sell bodies to medical schools. They risked arrest, prison, even lynching because cadavers fetched a price. And in the present day, in April 2025, police in Sicily arrested a gravedigger for secretly removing corpses from an overcrowded cemetery to make space for new burials. If it can happen there, could it happen anywhere? Funeral homes operate on trust. Families don't ask to inspect the coffin before it's lowered. And overcrowded graveyards, especially in urban areas, are under constant pressure. Sometimes graves are reused after decades. Sometimes earlier. The viral TikTok leaves viewers unsettled because it scratches at a simple, chilling thought. If the dead can't rest in peace, what hope do the living have? Number 4. Did J.P. Morgan sink the Titanic? April 15th, 1912. The unsinkable RMS Titanic vanishes beneath the North Atlantic, taking over 1,500 souls with her. History says an iceberg did it, but history doesn't always tell the whole story. One theory points to a man who wasn't even on board. American banking titan J.P. Morgan. In 1911, Morgan attended Titanic's launch. He reserved a lavish suite for her maiden voyage. Private promenade, special cigar holders in the bathroom, the works. But just before sailing, Morgan cancels. He stays in a French resort instead. Coincidence? Maybe. But 3 other men did sail that day. John Jacob Astor, Benjamin Guggenheim, and Isidor Straus. Powerful figures in business and politics. And all 3 reportedly opposed the creation of a central bank in the U.S. What would become the Federal Reserve? Morgan? He was one of the Federal Reserve's biggest champions. The theory goes like this. If those 3 men were out of the picture, Morgan's vision of a central bank would face fewer obstacles. He already owned the International Mercantile Marine, the parent company of White Star Line, which operated Titanic. Was the voyage itself set up as a trap? Skeptics point out there's no solid evidence Morgan could arrange for an iceberg collision. But believers counter with this: the ship's lack of lifeboats, the high speed in iceberg territory, and Morgan's last-minute withdrawal. Just enough to keep himself safe while ensuring his rivals were at sea. All 3 men died that night. The Federal Reserve Act passed the U.S. Congress the following year in 1913. Morgan, one of its architects, got what he wanted. Is it far-fetched to think someone would sacrifice over 1,000 lives for financial power? Probably. But history has shown that when fortunes are at stake, human life often isn't the top priority. Number 5. The artificial moon theory. The standard explanation is straightforward. Billions of years ago, a Mars-sized planet slammed into Earth. The collision blasted rock and molten material into orbit. Over time, that debris came together and became the moon. It's a tidy scientific story. But not everyone buys it. In 1970, 2 Soviet scientists, Michael Vasin and Alexander Shcherbakov, proposed something radically different, something out of science fiction. Their paper was called, "Is the Moon the Creation of Alien Intelligence?" Their idea: the moon is hollow, not just hollow, engineered. A massive spacecraft built by an unknown civilization. They pointed to strange features. Lunar craters, for example, on smaller ones. Depth increases with size as you'd expect. But large craters often have flat or even slightly convex bottoms, like something hard stopped the impact from going deeper. They speculated there might be a thick, impenetrable shell beneath the surface. They also noted unusual materials in lunar rocks. Elements like titanium and chromium in concentrations higher than Earth's crust. And then there's the ringing effect. During certain seismic tests conducted by Apollo missions, the moon reportedly vibrated like a bell for minutes, suggesting a less dense, possibly hollow interior. If it's true, who built it? Why? Vassin and Sherbakov imagined it could be an ancient observation post, placed in orbit to watch Earth, or perhaps a long-abandoned outpost, its purpose forgotten even by its makers. The theory has attracted fringe followers ever since. Some point to NASA photographs where they claim to see structures, machines, or tracks, evidence of activity long before humans arrived. Former NASA employee George H. Leonard even wrote someone else is on the moon, insisting he'd found proof in images most people overlook. Critics dismiss it all as pseudoscience. But here's the thing about conspiracy theories. The less you can disprove them completely, the more they hang around. From a prison cell in Manhattan, to a hijacked sky, from a coffin too light to believe, to a ship too doomed to be chance, and finally to the moon itself, our constant companion. Possibly not what it seems. These are 5 disturbing conspiracies you'll hope are not true. Maybe they're all nonsense. Maybe they're all true. Or maybe the truth is somewhere in between, buried in redacted reports, overlooked in dusty archives, or floating just out of reach above our heads. Because the one thing history has taught us is this: official stories are written by people, and people have reasons for the stories they choose to tell. So tonight, when you look up at the moon, ask yourself, are you staring at a lifeless rock, or into the unblinking eye of something that's been watching us longer than we've been able to watch back? And if you've made it this far into the shadows with us, take a second to like this video and subscribe to Top Facts. It's one of the easiest ways to help support the channel, so we can keep diving deeper into the stories others won't touch. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment below and tell us, what's the one conspiracy theory you'd like us to investigate next? We'll be reading, and who knows, your suggestion might be the next one we bring into the light.